Well, welcome everybody. I am delighted to have Lorenzo Angelucci, the CEO and founder of Transcend Packaging, with us today. Welcome, Lorenzo.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you.
You again.
Good to have you here. So a little by way of background, Lorenzo is the founder, one of the founders of Transcend Packaging, which started in 2017. And he's built the one of the fastest growing companies in Europe, which has a sustainability mission at its core. They're global innovators in the packaging category, and Transcend is the leading producer of paper straws in the UK and across Europe, but also manufactures cartons, cups, and other fibre-based packaging. Recognized as ones to watch in the Sunday Times recently, they have had impressive growth, and the future is bright for their versatile and talented workforce who thrive every day to make the world a better place and take their futures into their own hands. Lorenzo was born in Italy with a doctorate in chemistry from the University of Milan, and he spent 21 years working for Seda International Packaging Group, beginning in quality management, and then became managing director of Seda UK in 2003. So Lorenzo, welcome again. I always start off with the ice-breaking question. So what do you like doing when you're not working your socks off? So I know it's been hard going for you, but what do you like doing to get downtime?
Yeah, well, I don't have so much time off, but I like when I tired in the evening, in particular, or in the weekend, to spend some quality time with the family and watch a little bit of Italian television, which is always a drama.
Yeah, of course.
The political trajectory sometimes is quite exciting. Yeah, sometimes I like to drink my own, more than Italian wine, I like the Amaro at the end of the meal, which is a typical herbal liquor that we have in Italy. I used to work for a company that used to make them. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. I'm not sure whether this is Italian because Hazel poured it, but it has gone 6 o'clock. So I know you haven't started on the wine yet, but cheers anyway.
Well, if it is not Italian, you can get poisoned, so be careful.
Of course. So you've done a lot of traveling in your life. Where's the most interesting place you've been to?
Well, I travel several continents. In particular, on the last part of my career, we said I also ran the US company, so I was commuting to Chicago, London every 2 weeks for several years. So I wouldn't say that was the most interesting experience for me. I think the experience I had in Tokyo was quite interesting. I've been there twice, and it's a different culture. I was in the 35, 40 years old time, and I learned a lot by the way they deal with their customers, the care, the attention with the customer, which is really cultural. I had quite an intense experience with the president of Warner Brothers Japan at the time that we were supplying packaging to them from Europe to Japan, and it was quite an interesting experience for me, coming also from a quality background, to see how details and precise were on that. Yeah,
they do understand detail, and also they're very polite people, aren't they, the Japanese?
Well, basically, obviously, when you deal with quality, we deal with problems sometimes. So we received complaints in the past that our popcorn buckets were leaking. So how is possible the popcorn buckets are leaking? So I have to go there to realize that they add the liquid butter to the popcorn, hence why they were leaking. So they were so kind and very, grateful that I went there, that they invited me. And in the room, in the restaurant, the president said, "Look, Lorenzo, you are Italian. You are the most well-dressed person here in this restaurant because it is your culture. In Japan, if we give defective product to our customer, is a personal offense. That's why our culture is oriented to this kind of mentality." So that was quite eye-opening for me.
Yeah. Interesting. So just thinking about innovation, I know that's very much close to your heart. Of all the projects and innovations you've worked on over the years, which one are you most proud of and why?
Well, I would say that paper straw, obviously, but in particular, I would say the industrial paper straw. So, in fact, industrial is our trademark, which we registered. Industrial, we classify as an industrial paper straw the paper straw that is attached to a aseptic carton, similar to Tetra Pak.
Drinks carton, a little drinks carton, yeah.
Yeah. And we were basically one of the first to launch in the market a U-bend paper straw. So you're talking about huge volumes, and for us to start from zero to greenfield to produce billions of these straws per year, I think is a big achievement. Also because,
and you're doing it out of more than one factory now, aren't you?
Yeah, we started obviously in Wales. The company really started manufacturing in 2018, August. And in 2020, we opened a factory in Italy, producing specifically this type of product. So you bend paper straws, and also straw, we call the straight straw for aseptic cartons. And that is, I think, quite interesting. Also because, Ian, what we did more or less what the Asian did to the Western people in the last 70 years. So we reverse engineer their technology and make it better and more effective.
More automated and using more technology, etc.
More European health and safety standards, and much more productive and higher quality.
To give people an idea of scale, for anybody that's listening, how many straws roughly, and how many machines are these straws being produced on, just roughly?
So we have in the region of 30 machines just to make paper straws at the moment in our system, but this is growing because we are already investing a lot in new enterprises, in new technology. You're talking about at least 3.5 billion straws per year manufactured with the store capacity, but that's growing. Wow. Next year we think will be higher.
Huge numbers, and obviously lots of people, because from 2018, when you started, August 2018, you're now employing hundreds of people, aren't you? It's extraordinary how you've managed to grow so quickly.
Yeah. The Welsh company has 230 employees. In Italy, we have 60, and there is a new enterprise that we have just started. Yeah, and they already have more than 100 people. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, obviously, the dimension of the company in packaging is more the output you make, more than people. But I think we are proud that we develop jobs in areas that I think needed jobs. So we are located in the valley in Wales, near Caerphilly, and this is an area that historically is very welcoming industries, because they always had a higher level of unemployment compared to the rest of the UK. But I think by developing more and more job opportunity, I think we created for the community a benefit that we are proud to share, and they are recognizing this.
And you've done all of this during one of the most challenging periods certainly in my life, of producing things during the times of the pandemic, which obviously started in 2019. How did you adapt during that period? Because that must have been tough, supplying the hospitality, food service sectors. How did you adapt during that time?
That was a very tough moment, when obviously who would have thought that large companies, quick service restaurants like McDonald's, Starbucks, Costa, and so on, KFC decided to stop completely their operation, or were basically forced to by the pandemic. For a younger company like we are, and we even more so we were at that time, to have this interruption of revenue is obviously very, very concerning. But two choices when this happens. Either you say, sorry, this is happening everywhere. Dear suppliers, dear employees, we can only pay you once we get paid. Or we have to find a solution, adapt, be flexible, be swift. And this is more our DNA. So we are very flexible, we are very reactive, proactive. So when we noticed that there was the risk of shutting down, we started to develop ideas. So what can we do if the quick service restaurant customer of us stop trading? And obviously at that critical period of time, I talk about March, April 2020, the main concern was saving lives. Yeah. And so what the packaging industry could do was to quickly and immediately try to provide the key workers, the frontline workers, the NHS heroes, a protection. And so we quickly develop we call it disposable visor. We have the machine and the technology and the material to start producing those. And we bonded with the authorities, so we offer this to the authorities. And thanks to the Welsh government support and Life Science Hub Wales, we basically immediately connected with the NHS. We got our visor CE marked in a matter of weeks, and we start production. And in the end, we got an order of 15 million of this that wow. We completed in some months, not used mainly by the Department of Health and Social Care, mainly used for the social care workers.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that helped a lot our company in that critical moment. The number of people who went on furlough scheme was minimized, and we got revenue to trade and to keep on running our business.
Do you think, with your background in chemistry and being a doctor, do you think that's helped you to navigate some of these challenges? And I know packaging is very technical. How's that helped you? What sort of advantages has that given you to adapt?
It is true that all these changes we are seeing in our packaging market, especially in the last 2.5, 3 years, they are directing us, producer and our supplier, towards a more sustainable and innovative type of products, in particular material. So the material is critical. Experience on what material is potentially more effective to replace traditional plastic-based product helps. So the knowledge I had, and not only me, also my team had on this, helped a lot. Experience on the market, so to know who are the supplier you want to partner with to develop this alternative solution, alternative material, is also critical. The other thing I would say is my, let's say, school background. I've been also university in Milan, which helped a lot because it gives you the right forma mentis, the right way of thinking that can help you navigate in such a very dynamic situation.
So why did you start Transcend Packaging? What was the vision?
So
what is the vision?
The vision was that we wanted to be different, to have an impact. And we knew that the market was changing. Environmental packaging solutions were offered to our customer for quite some time. So lots of companies had ideas and projects in their drawer. But there was a barrier mainly linked to economics, availability of material, perception of the market. So in that historical moment, the end user became more relevant. They wanted to see a difference in packaging. They associated packaging to the end use of packaging, so litter and the pollution of the oceans. And obviously that trigger, let's say, reaction from the government, in the sense that the government piggyback on the influencer. That's how it works nowadays. So the vision we had at the time, which was before this wave of environmental packaging direction came, was we want to be different. We want to be swift. You know, our team has knowledge of working for very large company and supplying very large brand customers. So we know the decision maker in those organizations, but we are small and swift and flexible, so we can capture them and react fast and, you know, cover a little bit a segment of the packaging market, in particular in the UK, where lots of large company acquire small, medium size, and there were no more medium size left. So the medium size offer flexibility, reaction time, care, listening to the customer type of approach, which was a little bit lost at that time. Plus, big organizations are by default more slow because they are layered. You know, sometimes the tail doesn't know what the head is doing, and vice versa. So we can cut this loop and go straight to the source of decision and offer solution. I think that was our vision. And I think that has worked.
So when you started out, the original vision, was it to manufacture billions of straws, or did you have a different game plan, or did that just happen by, you know, by circumstance?
That's a very interesting question. So we started as a folding carton company, but straw came very soon. You know, when you are starting a new company or you are more entrepreneurial, one of the characteristics you need to take into consideration is you have to adjust and you have to follow where the direction you think is going and try to be ahead of the curve. So, you know, when I realized that there were some trials of paper straws in some quick service restaurant markets, I thought that is definitely
it's going to be a change
direction to go. And in fact, if you think about the paper straw became like the symbol of the change, you know, in good and bad, because obviously some customer didn't like the beginning, in particular beginning, the introduction, the replacement of plastic straw with paper straw. That I think was key.
Yeah, and I've no doubt that change will start to have a knock-on effect to other standard formats of packaging. I don't know how much detail you can go into, but I know that you're planning some interesting investments in molded fiber packaging. Can you say anything about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity. So yeah, the journey to replace traditional polymer-based plastic material is not stopping; it's continuing. And we believe that Multifiber is definitely a direction of travel. It's the real alternative, effective alternative to plastic, in particular in intrinsic complicated shapes. So we cannot be there. So we have acquired a company in R&D in Multifiber company, Biopaxium. Peter Davis is now our division director of Multifiber. We have many projects with the large brands already in place that have the objective to replace traditional plastic material like plastic leads, plastic scoops with fiber-based material. And he's project leading this for us. And that is just the beginning. Our intention is to manufacture this type of material and products in Europe. We believe there is definitely scope for production in the UK, but you know, we are most probably focusing our larger investment in Eastern Europe. We would like to leverage not just traditional kind of energy. We would like to see if we can access to a renewable type of energy like geothermic in the area we are considering at the moment. And we would like to consider as a raw material, potentially agriculture waste, which I think is minimizing the environmental impact. Because to be perfectly honest, Ian, to buy a paper lead, which is coming from Asia, maybe with a pulp which is coming from Chile, which most of the largest percentage of pulp is coming from South America, goes to China, is transformed using a coal fuel energy in China, and then is shipped across here. I don't see the carbon footprint being very nice for that. I think for manufacturing, especially with all these post-pandemic supply chain crisis and so on and so forth, I think is local production, European, will take more relevance.
I love your passion. So you have a unique style of leadership. You're very hands-on, and I know you love getting in amongst the machinery and the people and the teams and motivating them. What would you say sets out your style of leadership being different, maybe from other companies, other packaging companies?
I believe people makes the difference. So the leadership should engage with people, because you can have a nice Ferrari that you can ride on the Monza circuit, but if the pilot is not committed, is not focused, not trained, I don't think you get a good result. Either you had a big accident or you do very slow because you are afraid. So I think you need to stay with the people, listen to their needs, direct them as well, because, but I believe the best management style is the one that can balance correctly analysis with synthesis. Because if you are too analytic, you are too much going into that, and maybe you don't take a decision, you delay the decision, or you analyze details that are not really of interest. If you are too synthetic, you can take a decision based on impulse, and sometimes you pay the consequence of that. So you know to balance where the analysis needs to be versus the synthesis. At the end of the day, the good leader is the one that has to take a good synthetic decision based on a good quality level of analysis. Otherwise, the result is not going to be okay. So that, I think, is relevant. And the only way to do it is to build a team, because you cannot create a company. In 3 years, basically, we went from greenfield to 4 companies, 360 people, almost 400. You cannot do it on your own. You have to have a good team. You have to delegate to the team, and you have to empower them and give confidence to the team for decision.
So when you look back, since you started Transcend, what one thing would you do differently if you could undo it? Or was it all perfect?
It is a very, very interesting question. There are several decisions that probably I should have reconsidered. So at the beginning, when you start, you need the help of some colleagues, and then these colleagues, maybe they are not so much supportive. So, but I don't regret what we did. You keep on learning. The most important thing is, once you realize that you made a mistake, you need to adjust it and admit it. The worst of all is persevering with a mistake. So if you are persevering with a mistake, you are basically going nowhere. You're going worst. So if you made a mistake, fair enough. Let's reverse and change direction again.
So which leaders out there, preferably ones that are still alive, which leaders out there most inspire you, and why?
I would say in the recent past in particular, I think the charisma of Sir David Attenborough. He's the one that make all this change, if you think about it.
Well, he certainly brought it into the public consciousness. Yeah.
He's definitely, the passion he had and the life spent with nature, describing nature. For him to see nature being deprived or vandalized by plastic islands all over the world, it is something that probably in his own spirit, he wanted to fight, and he had the charisma to make the audience, us end user, realize we had enough. So we have to do something, and that is what triggered decisions. You know, nowadays what count is influencer. The influencer are the one that instigate regulatory. In the past, used to be lobbying. No, many industries used to lobby people, in particular government, senator or MPs or whatever, just to change laws. Now it's different. It's influence people, and the people set the rules to follow. So Reactor for me is definitely a number one.
Did you watch the interview conference with Boris Johnson day before yesterday, with the 12-year-old students asking him various questions about climate change and plastic and whatnot? Did you watch that?
Didn't watch, but I was told, so it's on my list. Yesterday I had other things too, but I'm not surprised that now this kind of things happen, because they are in all effect, you know, predominant and key items for politicians to discuss. No,
well, so young people now, because they've got access to the information, they are starting to rise up and make their voice heard, aren't they? Yeah. That's for sure. So you probably don't have time to read, I'm guessing, because you're so busy, I know. But what are you reading right now, and what book has had the most influence on your life?
When I read, I now want to relax my brain, so I have to read in Italian, because it's my obviously native language, and I'm reading now Commissario Montalbano. It's like a crime fiction, a crime book of a Sicilian police.
Gangsters.
No, he's a police. He's the police guy that is fighting the gangs. But the story, you know, it's not so much about mafia. It's more about passion crimes or things like that in Sicily, which is quite interesting. See, also because my mother is Sicilian, so I have a connection with my family there, so I like that. Yeah.
Because you told me once that your father used to work in law enforcement. Do I remember that?
Yeah,
correctly?
it was my grandfather. My grandfather was a lieutenant of Carabinieri. He fought mafia in Sicily, because if you think about mafia in Sicily, was in all effect the origin of mafia was to separate Sicily from the rest of Italy. That's what they wanted to do, you know, to create their own country. So they became illegal, and then you know, obviously the Italian state was considering them like terrorists and want to separate. You know? So at the time, my grandfather used to fight them, and I have stories about that. It's, you know, it's nice to know story. Histories is, if you don't know the history, you cannot make good decisions for the future. So
for sure.
But my best book, the one I always remember, is that the three robotics law of Isaac Asimov. I don't know if you ever read that.
I haven't read that one, no.
Yeah, so that is a fantascience book that is many years ago is the one that set the three rules of robotics, which are still very relevant now. And now that we see more and more robots around, you know, this guy was a visionary. They are still using his rules. So it's very, very interesting.
So do you think in the future you'll be 3D printing the fourth
we are already doing
industrial revolution?
And we are already doing it. So for some spare parts and modification machines, we are doing ourselves with the 3D printer that we have here next to me.
I didn't know that. That's what, and printing steel, I guess.
Well, this is our more polymers based 3D print materials. Also rubber you can do, and steel. At the moment we have the rubber and the polymer based, and these are parts we can make our own parts of the machine.
Brilliant.
In-house.
It's the way forward, isn't it? Yeah. Well, Lorenzo, I knew our chat would be fascinating. Thank you very much for your time. It's nearly 7:15. You need to go home. But thanks again for your time. I enjoyed that.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.